Hello friends and welcome back to the Christmas special. It's episode number 9 out of 12. Today we're making Greek Christmas bread. It is called Christopsomo, unless I totally butchered the pronunciation, which I probably did. But nevertheless, this bread's beautifully soft, flavored with star anise and mahlab. What is mahlab, I hear you say? It is a spice made up of ground up cherry stones apparently. Who knew? But it makes the bread taste amazing. So just keep on watching if you want to learn how to make this. And if you're not into star anise and mahlab, then check out my other videos in the Christmas series. But for now, let's get on with this one. So first up, let's see what equipment we need. We'll need a bowl for mixing our dough in, scales, a dough scraper, a temperature probe, a brush, and a little cake tin. Quite basic, right? Now on to the ingredients. We'll need some strong white bread flour, some water, yeast, salt. We'll need some honey, some oil, the mahlab, and the ground star anise. Some crushed walnuts to go inside, some pecans for decoration, an egg for brushing, and some sesame seeds. Now my kitchen is around 22 degrees Celsius, so my water to be around 8. Now we can start making our dough. Get your bowl, add your cold water, then in with the yeast, salt, mahlab, star anise, add the oil now as well. This bread is quite simple to make. Next up comes the honey, and now we can give everything a good old mix to combine. You want to hydrate your yeast before you add the flour. Now you can add the flour and continue mixing with your scraper. You want to mix the dough until you don't see any more dry flour, and if the scraper is not doing the job, continue on by hand. Mixing it in the bowl until it's one cohesive piece will avoid making a mess on your table. Now once it's all together, we can start kneading it. This dough is not too sticky, so we'll use a regular kneading method. What I like to do is press down and forwards with the heel of my right hand, and using the fingers of my left hand, I fold the piece of dough under the heel of my right hand, and I turn and repeat. Once you've done this a few times, the motion will become fluent. Now continue kneading like this for around 5 minutes. It shouldn't take too long. If the dough gets a little bit sticky, just use your scraper to scrape it up from the table and scrape it off your hands. Now it goes without saying that your hands should be clean before you even start. If you want to do this in a mixer, go on medium speed for around 3 minutes. And once the dough has become nice and stretchy, not too sticky anymore, we can divide it. We'll have one large piece and one small piece that we'll make the braids out of. You could leave the dough in one piece, but I decided to make the braids without nuts. Take the smaller dough ball, flatten it out, fold the edge over the middle, going around in a circle until you reach point where you started. And once you have a nice tight ball, we can continue on with the larger piece. Stretch it out on the table and add the ground walnuts. There's no real technique here. Just stretch your dough out, add your walnuts, spread them out, press them in, fold them in, squeeze them in. And once you've folded up your dough, continue kneading, just the same way as you did before, but do it nice and slowly, otherwise your nuts will fly all over the kitchen. You want to continue kneading this for around 2 more minutes, until everything's nice and combined and the doughs become smooth. And this looks about right, so now we can start fermenting, but before we do, let's take the temperature. 26-27 degrees Celsius is exactly what I'm looking for. Now cover it up, let it ferment for 1 hour. If your dough is cooler, it will take longer. If it's warmer, it will take less time. But after the first proof, we need to give it a fold. Folding is quite simple. Place your dough smooth side down on the table, flatten it out, fold the edge over the middle, going around in a circle until you reach point where you started. Then flip it smooth side up again, tighten it against the table, and that's your fold done. Now repeat with the other dough piece. We'll cover them up again and leave them to ferment for 1 more hour. They should really start puffing up now. These look about right to me. So we'll use the larger dough piece as the main loaf, and we'll use the smaller one to create the braids for decoration. So what you want to do is get your scales and divide the smaller dough into 6 equal pieces. I've given some measurements in the recipe, but always weigh your dough and then divide it, because you know, discrepancies. Now we need to pre-shape them after dividing. Flour your table, this dough might be a little bit sticky. Flatten the dough piece out, then fold the sides over each other, and fold the top down, flip it around, and fold the bottom over. You want to end up with like tight little cylinders. And then take the larger dough piece, flatten it out, and once again shape it into a ball. Now we'll cover these up and let them rest for half an hour. During the resting period, the gluten in the dough will relax and make it a lot easier for us to shape. Also, the dough will get another half an hour of fermentation time. Now we're ready to decorate. Dust your dough with flour lightly, and take these smaller pieces one by one and roll them out. Don't rush it, go slowly, you don't want to tear them, roll them gently. You want them to be about the length of your forearm. And of course try to roll them so they're all the same size. First one's done, repeat with the rest. And the next step is to braid them. Take 3 strands, pinch them together at the top, then forget how to do a 3-strand braid. How does this go? Left, right, up, down. Yeah, okay, I think I got it. I'm sure you know this better than I do. Right, just braid them and we can continue on with the next step. Now grab the large piece of dough and lay the 2 braids over it to create a cross. I would suggest doing them one by one and don't tighten them too much, and you can tuck the ends underneath. Remember, this dough is quite soft, so handle it gently. You don't want to deflate it or distort it. Now grab the other piece, lay it across, and we can place it in our cake tin. Now spot the mistake. Yes, I haven't lined my cake tin with parchment paper. This dough would definitely stick. Luckily I realized. You want to have paper on the sides and on the base. Now let's cover this baby up and let it ferment for 1 hour. During that time we can preheat our oven to 160 degrees C with a fan on. Also, if you have a thick tray or cast iron skillet, then place it in the oven to preheat as well. This will help with baking the bottom of the dough. But if you don't, it's fine. You just may have to bake it for longer. So a couple final steps before baking. Let's get our egg wash and brush the dough all over. Now grab the pecans and decorate it. I think normally walnuts would be used, but I think pecans look a bit better. Make sure you press them in firmly, otherwise they might fall off. And next sprinkle the sesame seeds all over. Actually I could have done without the sesame seeds. They kinda hid the braids. But you know, how you decorate it is up to you. Now get it in the oven and bake it for 40 to 50 minutes. And if you're not sure if it's done or not, take the temperature. If the middle of the loaf reads 94 degrees Celsius or 200 Fahrenheit, it's baked. Now as a final touch, to make it nice and shiny, you can brush the loaf with some butter or some oil. And you want to leave it to chill out for around 10 minutes before removing it from the tin. And that's the Greek Christopsomo. I think it's one of the easiest Christmas breads to make, and the result is amazing. Check out my Christmas playlist. I've made 12 different breads from 12 different countries. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing. I've got loads more videos to come. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.